It is Thursday, March 10th of 2022. Not the usual day that I do this, but I have to address something, a grievous error that I have made, several grievous errors that I have made, and they will be addressed today on Guy's Daily Drive. Bam. Good morning and welcome to Guy's Daily Drive on a Thursday. Weird. It's usually Monday and Friday, but going on a Thursday. Kind of wanted to do this yesterday, but it was such a gross rainy day that didn't want to bother. So Apple had an event on Tuesday, several things were announced, some of which I have no interest in, some of which I have a lot of interest in, but I'm going to try to hold off on any big purchases for right now. I made some guesses as to what I thought some of the things that were going to be released on Tuesday would be, not just on Guy's Daily Drive, but in the main section of the My Mac podcast. And in just about every single case, I was completely wrong. So let's talk a little bit about what did come out versus what I thought would come out. So the first thing that I guessed was going to come out was an M2 processor. Completely wrong. Wrong! It was not an M2 processor. I mean, they did release a new, sort of new, a redesigned processor. But it wasn't a brand new wasn't a brand new design. Come on, get out of the way. So I thought it was going to be an M2, but what Apple actually announced was what they're calling the M1 Ultra, in which they basically take two M1 Maxes, which is their previous fastest processor, connect them up via a special bus so that they don't lose any of the features that made them special. Integrated RAM, integrated GPU, integrated neural engine. Because as I alluded to on Monday, these processors don't scale in the same way that x86 processors scale. Sorry. So you can't just take two M1 processors, put them on a board with a few interconnections and expect them to work. It does not work that way. So what Apple did was they built a special bus between them that has like some insane amount of bandwidth, and they're calling that the M1 Ultra. M1 Ultra. And it just takes all the things that were really good about the M1 Max. Oh, so sorry, I'm yawning like crazy, and doubles it. So you can get up to 128 gigs of RAM. 128 gigs of RAM with one of these things. As well as, I think, like 40 GPU cores. I mean, it's nuts. It really is nuts. The kind of power that this chip has. It's insane. And that's going to be put into the very first machine that's going to have this chip is their new Mac, which they're calling the Mac Studio. Stupid name. Really, it's just a dumb name. And it's about 2 and some high percentage points higher than a Mac Mini. But it's the same footprint, which, okay, that seems a little weird too. But the really crazy thing about the Studio isn't that it's, you know, as tall as it is so that they can accommodate some of the special features that come with the Mac Studio. No, it's that tall because they built in these 2 humongous fans in them, while still claiming that it's like whisper quiet. So I think the only way they can get around that would be to have the fans spin at a slower speed so that they don't make as much noise, which might explain why they're as massive as they are. However, it's also housing this M1, or could house an M1 Ultra processor with all the things I just said. Darn it. But it doesn't really take all that space for the board that is going to have the M1 Ultra in it. And then the price for this computer is about $4,000. Whoa, $4,000. Now, granted, it's probably darn close to the most powerful Mac that Apple has ever released, because it's going to be, I mean, just on raw horsepower alone, it's going to be crazy fast. So you can also get one that has just, and I say this, you know, just an M1 Max in it, which means that you are limited to 64 gigs of RAM, and it comes with 32. If you get the one with the M1 Pro or M1 Max, that's set at bare minimum 32 gigs of RAM. So I did a couple of little spec bumps, bumped it to the slightly faster with more cores processor and a little more storage and 64 gigs of RAM, and it was going to be like low 3000s, which means that I very likely will not be getting this computer, at least not yet. I would like to see where things are going to go and what they're going to put the M2 into when that comes out, whenever that comes out. But it's really an insane looking fast machine for people who need that kind of horsepower. And they didn't even preface that by pretending that this was the replacement for the Mac Pro, because they had kind of a throwaway line at the very end that basically said, oh, and you know, that's not all we're doing this year, you'll be getting a Mac Pro later. So this isn't even going to be the Mac Pro with the crazy fast M1 Ultra chip in it. Oh. So I was wrong, and I didn't think there was going to be a Studio. So I was wrong about the chip, I was wrong about the Studio, What else was I wrong about? I said there was going to be a new 27 or 32 inch iMac. That was wrong. There was not an iMac. As a matter of fact, not only was there not an iMac that they released, there was also no longer a 27-inch iMac available directly on the Apple Store. Not counting refurbs, but I mean just the main, on the main page where you can select the computer you want to buy. Well, you can't buy a 27-inch iMac anymore. It's just not there. So this is likely the replacement for that, for people that want a bigger, faster computer than what you would get with the low-end iMac, which is still for sale. But I digress. There's you got the new Mac Studio for people who want more horsepower than you'll get from one of the laptops or from the Mac Mini, the M series Mac Mini, which is what I have. And I don't think I'm really that interested in spending close to probably $3,500 to buy a machine that I won't really see that much of a difference on. I mean, the M1, the plain Jane M1 that I've got in my Mac Mini is a friggin' screaming computer. It is unbelievably fast, and it does everything that I would like a computer to do. It slogs easily through video and audio and everything else. So I don't really have any complaints. And I don't want to spend $3,500 for a computer that is arguably not going to give me a whole lot better in the performance arena, because it's just a great, Mac 1 Mini is just such a great computer. So they also had some Apple TV announcements, but who cares, because it was baseball, and with the current lockout, it doesn't really matter. There was, what else? There was also the iPhone SE 3rd gen that they've announced, and it's gone up about $30 for the base model. But I don't think that really matters that much. I mean, this was more of a Mac event. So after the or a hardware event, I should say. But after they released the Mac, I'm so tired, Mac Studio. Yeah, sure, go ahead there, buddy. They also released a new monitor, 2 different types of glass, and those things are like $2,000 and up. So I won't be having any of those computers or those monitors. Wow, I'm really tired. Anytime soon, because I'm just not going to spend that kind of money on a monitor. Not going to do it. And they're beautiful monitors, absolutely no doubt. And there are people who get them because they kind of need a quality monitor like that. It's, it's 5K and all the rest of that. I'm not one of those people. If my colors are slightly off for reasons, then okay. Then my colors are slightly off, and I'll just deal with it. There was also an iPhone SE Generation 3 that was announced, and I think it's available for sale now. And it's got a couple of improvements over the previous gen iPhone SE. It does, or it has an M1 processor in it, which is pretty crazy. Same one that's in the heck is the phone that I have? The T-Mobile iPhone 13 that I currently have. And a slightly better camera, I guess. But everything else is pretty much the same. Interestingly enough, the price jumped for the absolute base model from $399 to $429, so a slight increase there. What else? There was an iPad Air that was put out, and I can't think of anything else that comes to mind. So those are all the things that were released by Apple on Tuesday. Let me know in your comments what you think about the new Apple stuff that's coming out, or if you want to make a comment about just how tired I am. I really, really am. Super tired. You can send me an email to do those things, guy@mymac.com or podcast@vertshark.com. You can write me on the Twitters. I am twitter.com/MacParrot, twitter.com/VertShark. VertShark.com is the place to go to see all the odds and all the vids. And if you go over to YouTube and look up VertShark there, you'll find the VertShark channel that has not just this podcast, but the MyMac podcast. It's somewhat reduced in size because I don't put the after show in there. Though I guess it doesn't really matter. I just wanted there to be some kind of consistent, some reason to go to the MyMac feed instead of the Guys Daily Drive feed. And the MyMac feed is going to have the after show. If that's what you want to hear, you can get that from the after show. Twitter is MacParrot. MacParrot pretty much all the way around. Let me think. There's Patreon.com, there's Coffee.com, and there is PayPal. All different ways that you can donate. And all those email addresses are MacParrot. So do that thing. And I am going to concentrate on driving and turn this off. So thank you all so very, very much for joining me today on Guys Daily Drive. I apologize for just how wrong I was in all these predictions, and that was about as wrong could be. So with that in mind, we will see all of you next time right here on Guys Daily Drive. Bye-bye.